For centuries, the intergalactic alliance between humanity and the Vorian was a symbol of hope, a rare testament that even the vast differences between species could be bridged. The Vexans, a technologically superior yet resource-poor civilization, found a crucial partner in humanity in exchange for resources that Earth's territories provided. The Vexans shared their scientific advancements, boosting human progress by leaps and bounds. Together, they held the line against hostile forces, sharing a bond that went beyond treaties, a shared belief in peace and prosperity. But peace is as fragile as it is precious. Without warning, the alliance shattered. The Vexans launched an unprovoked assault on humanity's colonies, their once friendly fleets now vessels of destruction. Human outposts fell swiftly, with Earth's defenders scrambling to make sense of the betrayal. Rumors swirl and desperate questions arose. Why would their closest allies turn on them? And why now? In the chaos, whispers surfaced that this was no mere conquest, that something darker lay behind the Voran assault. And as the first shots of war echoed across the stars, humanity's resolve hardened, ready to face not just an invasion, but a betrayal that cut to the heart of their interstellar alliance. The alliance's rise and sudden fall. Background on the alliance between humanity and the Vexans was born from a desperate need for survival decades ago. A cosmic war tore through this corner of the galaxy, leaving both species on the brink of annihilation. The Vexans, an ancient race known for their technological prowess, emerged scarred and vulnerable, their homeworld nearly depleted of critical resources. Humanity, younger yet fiercely adaptable, had the resources but lacked the technology to defend themselves against the interstellar threats that loomed over their worlds. Each species alone faced a grim future with survival at stake. An unlikely alliance formed. Humanity would provide the rich mineral and biological resources that Earth and its colonies held, and in return, the Vexans would share their technological marvels, quantum propulsion systems, advanced medical science, and powerful defense grids. Together, they could rebuild from the ashes of war. Over time, this practical partnership blossomed into something greater in securing peace across disputed territories and stabilizing their war-weary worlds. The two species found common ground in mutual respect. As the alliance strengthened, so did its reach. Human and Vorian diplomats met regularly, trading not only resources and technologies, but also ideas and philosophies. Images of human and Vorian ambassadors shaking hands became symbols of a new era of cooperation. Collaborative research stations popped up along the galactic rim, where scientists from both species worked side by side, breaking ground in fields that neither could have advanced alone. Regular joint military exercises fortified their defenses, creating a force that rivaled even the largest empires in the galaxy. For nearly a century, the alliance was heralded as the GXE's greatest success in interspecies diplomacy, where once war had ravaged entire star systems. Human and Vorian ships now patrolled in harmony, securing their borders and ensuring stability. Other species watched this alliance with a mix of envy and awe, seeing it as a model for peace in an otherwise chaotic galaxy. Few questioned its stability, and even fewer would have dared predict it. And the sudden war declaration then, without a hint of warning, the alliance shattered in a single night. Voran fleets appeared over human outposts and colonies, not as protectors but as conquerors. Communications went silent as Voran weaponry targeted human defenses, disabling them with brutal efficiency. Entire colonies fell within hours, left powerless in the face of an assault they had never expected. In Earth's highest council chambers, humanity's leaders gathered in stunned disbelief. Advisors, generals, and diplomats all tried to make sense of the inexplicable betrayal. Every leader asked the same question: why? How had their closest allies become their greatest threat? What motivation could possibly drive the Vex Orions to such treachery? Desperation and anger filled the room as the reality of the betrayal set in. The alliance they had relied upon was dead, and humanity was now alone in a battle for its survival. Soon, the first battles broke out across human-controlled space. Caught off guard, humanity's defenses crumbled in the face of the highly advanced Vorian technology. Space stations fell in fiery blasts. Cities were leveled and civilian casualties soared. Humanity's forces scrambled to mount a defense, but The Vorian strikes were precise, devastating, and relentless. Entire fleets were wiped out as human defenses struggled to adapt to the unexpected attack. Even as Earth's military reorganized and retaliated, the losses were staggering them. Initial shock had caused them dearly, and every inch of ground came at a high price. Each battle only deepened humanity's confusion and frustration as they tried to understand the reason behind their allies' sudden hostility. Why had the Vexans chosen to strike now after so many years of peace? What unseen force could have driven them to break such a long-standing bond? As their defenses began to stabilize, humanity's leaders shifted focus. They would not only defend their worlds but also seek out answers. This was no ordinary war. It was a betrayal of the deepest kind, one that called into question everything they thought they understood about their place in the galaxy. And while humanity prepared to fight back, one resolve solidified among them. They would uncover the truth no matter how dark it might be and hold the Vexans accountable for their treachery. When faced with annihilation, humanity didn't break. Instead, they rallied, determined to defend their worlds against overwhelming odds. Submission was never an option. Humans across the colonies and Earth itself dug deep into their reserves of ingenuity, courage, and grit. They took whatever Vorian technology was available and began repurposing it, modifying the weaponry and ships they had acquired over years of alliance. The humans, once reliant on Vorian expertise, were now learning to fight like insurgents, using guerrilla tactics that kept the enemy off balance. In distant colonies, humans mounted daring defenses, outposts that knew reinforcements would not reach them in time, chose to resist, each fighting to buy Earth's military precious time. Colonists from all walks of life transformed into soldiers, overnight banding together and sacrificing in themselves in the face of the enemy. These defenses became legends, tales of small groups of soldiers and civilians who defied Vorian fleets with every weapon, trap, and tactic they could devise. They fought fiercely, even in hopeless battles, holding their ground as long as they could before retreating or perishing. Yet each action delayed the Vorian advance on the front lines. Human soldiers fought with unyielding determination. Each battle became a testament to their courage, even as they faced opponents with superior weaponry. Vignettes of battle flashed across the galaxy, a lone human pilot taking on Vorian squadron troops entrenched on alien soil, holding their ground until the last breath. Engineers welding shields to protect families in underground bunkers. Humanity had been betrayed, but they would not be conquered. Human engineers and scientists, fueled by a fierce need to survive, turned their focus to Vorian technology. Every piece of Vorian tech they had once used as allies was now reverse-engineered, adapted to serve human purposes. Weapons that once required Vorian know-how were upgraded with human ingenuity, producing energy shields that could withstand blasts, handheld weapons with increased firepower, and ships capable of faster evasive maneuvers. With every breakthrough, humanity turned more of the Vorian strengths against them. New tactics emerged, tailored to exploit Vorian weaknesses. Vorian vessels, once thought invulnerable, were discovered to have blind spots and vulnerabilities in their shielding. Humans used this knowledge to set traps where squads would lure Vorian fleets into asteroid fields and ambush them, leaving debris and wreckage in their wake. The battles that followed were brutal and intense. In space, fleets of human-modified ships engaged in hit-and-run attacks, striking hard and vanishing before the Vexans could retaliate. On alien landscapes, human forces deployed every trick they had learned, setting traps in ravines, sabotaging supply lines, and rigging explosives to devastate them. Enemies' encampments where Vorian were trained in traditional regimented warfare. Humans thrived in chaos, exploiting the very technology meant to overpower them. The tide of war, once unilaterally in the Vorian favor, began to shift. Humanity, having adapted and refined its approach, launched a series of counterattacks. These weren't mere defensive maneuvers, but aggressive strikes into Vorian-occupied territory. Every successful mission bolstered human morale, proving that they could push back the invaders. With each victory, they reclaimed key outposts, fortifying them and setting traps that would leave any Vorian reinforcements vulnerable. It wasn't long before human forces uncovered a crucial weakness within the Vorian ranks: their reliance on a single line of command, directly overseen by the Vorian king himself. This flaw became a focus of human strategy as they crafted plans to draw the king's fleet into a trap. In a final climactic campaign, human forces cornered the Vorian king on a devastated human colony there on the war-scarred grounds of a once Thriving world humanity prepared for a confrontation that would define the outcome of this war. In a last show of strength, humans didn't just fight for survival. They fought to make the Vexans understand that humanity could not and would not be underestimated. The war was far from over, but as the humans looked at the captured Vorian king, they knew they had finally seized control. Through resilience and sheer will, they had turned the tide. The capture of the alien king and his public humiliation after an intense climactic battle on the remains of a once prosperous human colony. Human forces finally achieved the unthinkable, the capture of the Voron king. A figure who once embodied unassailable authority and alien superiority now found himself at the mercy of the very species he sought to subjugate. As human soldiers closed in, the king's initial expression of shock was unmistakable, quickly replaced by a creeping terror. He had believed himself untouchable, assured by his fleet's power and his people's technology, but now, staring at the faces of defiant human soldiers, he felt the chill of realization sink in. Humanity had outmaneuvered him, and there would be no rescue. Rather than hide their triumph, humanity decided to make a statement, turning the captured king's humiliation into a public spectacle. He was dragged through the ruins of a once thriving city, a place reduced to rubble under his command. The streets, now littered with the remnants of lives interrupted by war, became the stage for a moment of collective catharsis. As he was paraded through the devastated city, civilians gathered along the broken roads, their faces filled with anger, grief, and a fierce satisfaction. Jeers and shouts echoed through the streets as debris rained down on the disgraced king, people who had lost homes, loved ones, and their sense of peace in this war finally had a tangible target for their pain. They hurled broken pieces of stone, scraps of metal, and harsh words with equal intensity, releasing years of pent-up rage against the alien leader. For the humans, this wasn't just about vengeance. It was a declaration of their resilience. The Vorian commanders watching the broadcast felt an unsettling doubt creep into their minds. This was not the submissive species they had been led to believe would crumble under Vorian power. Seeing their king brought so low, humiliated by those they had been taught to disdain, left them questioning their loyalty. Whispers of dissent began to spread, and cracks formed within the once unified Vorian rank. Humanity ensured the spectacle was transmitted across the galaxy, a bold declaration to every race, empire, and faction that might have doubted their resolve. As images of the Vorian king's public humiliation flooded the airway, it became clear to all that humanity would not be easily conquered. This broadcast was not merely an act of revenge. It was a warning. The humans had turned their anguish into strength, and their tenacity had broken the very symbol of Vorian arrogance. The message sent shockwaves through Vorian forces and beyond. Morale among Vorian soldiers plummeted as doubts and fears began to fracture their unity. This public humiliation of their king wasn't just a psychological blow to their cause. It was a turning point in the war. The galaxy had been put on notice. Humanity would not only survive, but would rise stronger and unbreakable from the ashes of betrayal. The uncovering of the king's betrayal and the galactic power shift of the revelation of the betrayal. Under intense interrogation, the Vorian king, once a symbol of grandeur and power, finally divulged the truth of his betrayal. Driven by greed and an unyielding lust for dominance, he had orchestrated an alliance with a rogue faction of human defectors. His plan was to conquer humanity under the guise of alliance, using his human allies to control Earth and its resources, ensuring humanity would remain a puppet under his rule. In flashbacks, his ruthlessness and ambition became painfully clear, revealing how he manipulated events to his advantage, stirring up tensions and framing the Vorian invasion as a necessary cosmic conflict. When the news broke, it sent shockwaves through both Vorian and human societies. This war that had torn worlds apart was no noble endeavor. It was a personal vendetta, an orchestrated campaign of greed disguised as interstellar conflict. The revelation shattered the Vorian image of strength and moral superiority, while humans wrestled with the knowledge that their suffering had stemmed from a twisted hunger for power. A mutiny in the ranks, disillusionment ran deep within the Vorian military as soldiers grappled with the betrayal of their leader. The knowledge that they had been pawns in a self-serving plot led to a growing dissent within their ranks. Whispers of mutiny became cries for justice as commanders and soldiers alike began to defect, choosing to abandon their corrupted ruler cause. Many reached out to humanity, pledging to fight for a truer peace.
Aligning themselves with those they had once considered enemies, a brief conflict broke out among Vorian forces as those still loyal to the king attempted to crush the defectors, but the rebellion gained momentum and soon a new Vorian faction emerged, a group formally aligned with humanity seeking genuine unity rather than conquest. The galaxy watched in a weast, the table turned with Vexants and humans standing together as allies. This powerful act of reconciliation began to pave the way for a future founded not on subjugation but on mutual respects. E new alliance and the path forward. In the wake of the king's downfall, humanity and the Vorian defectors came together to form a new alliance. This partnership was built on shared values with transparency and integrity as its foundation rather than deception and exploitation. For the first time, Vexans and humans stood united by choice, committed to building a future that would benefit both civilizations equally. In the closing scenes, humanity is shown rebuilding their war-torn worlds, but this time with newfound allies by their side. Diplomatic envoys from other Aliens species began reaching out, intrigued by this resilient partnership that had emerged from betrayal and conflict. Humanity, once viewed as a fledgling race, now stood as a respected galactic power, a leader in peace, resilience, and interspecies cooperation. The galaxy found itself on the edge of a new era, one where unity triumphed over greed, and where the mistakes of the past would serve as a reminder of the price of betrayal. Together, Vexans and humans forged a hard-earned path forward, offering a glimmer of hope for a galaxy once torn by war.